Okay, welcome everybody back to Kira Yoga. So we'll just start lying down on our backs. Taking a big breath in, sighing out the mouth on the exhale. Signaling to the body that we've arrived. Just getting comfortable. Be here for a couple of minutes for our breathing practice at the start. Maybe closing down the eyes if it feels okay. Just take our Samasvriti today, equal inhale, equal exhale. So you can start with 3 counts. You can go longer or shorter, it's up to you. So exhaling out where we are, inhale, breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 1, 2, 3. Inhaling 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 1, 2, 3. Inhaling 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 1, 2, 3. Continuing the count now in your own time. Maybe like your hands on your belly, or one hand on the chest, one hand on the belly, or just by your side. You can feel the belly as you rise and fall on the inhales and exhales. Be here for a couple of minutes. Feeling the breath as it comes through the nostrils, down into the chest, belly rises, and feeling the opposite on the exhale, belly falls. Feel the air being pushed out of our lungs, out of our nose or our mouth. Just connecting to the breath. Beginning to slow down. And just noticing if we're tensing anywhere through the body, if we're holding or gripping anywhere. Maybe they've got a furrowed brow or clenching the jaw. See if you can feel heavy through the head and the shoulders, through the back, the hips and the buttocks and the legs. Just trying to soften. Coming back to that count if your mind has wandered. Just in the last minute or so, seeing if you want to change up the count or change anything for this last bit. Maybe increase the count 1 or 2, see how that feels. Seeing if you'd like to challenge yourself in any way. Be offering up some options through the class as well if you want to sort of take more strenuous option or something a little bit different to what you normally do. But if that's not what you're feeling today, just keeping it gentle. Exhaling out, we'll take the last round together. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhaling 1, 2, 3. Awesome work. Just getting a little movement in the body. We'll make our way into our cradle pose now. So we'll start with bringing both knees into the chest. Sam's doing yoga in the room as well. If you hear any movements, probably him. Just rocking side to side, making little circles, bringing the knees close to the body and then away. Going one way and then the other. Going as fast or as slow as you like. Just getting some movement in that lower back and the hips. Just going one way and the other until you feel nice and even. We're going to drop that right leg down. So we've got one leg bent with the right sole of the foot on the floor. Knee pointing up and then other knee is still bringing it in towards the chest. We'll do little circles here with that left knee. So either holding onto the knee or just doing circles on its own. Maybe noticing the difference between holding it and not. Going one way and then the other. Breathing as we go. Then we're going to stretch out that right leg, keep the left knee in close. Noticing the difference there. Breathing there. Maybe rocking side to side, making circles with that left knee. And then we're going to come into a spinal twist. So we're going to start dropping that left knee over towards the right. So bringing that knee all the way to the ground, you can twist with it. So we'll have our left shoulders coming off the ground. So we're sort of on our right side. Stretching out our hands and we're placing one hand on top of the other. Breathing here. And then we're going to reach that left hand forward so it's reaching out a bit past that right hand. And we're going to stretch that left hand back. So just coming as far as feels good to you. You can keep maybe your left hand on your left hip if that's enough spinal twist for you. Or you might want to bring that left hand all the way out so both hands are in a T shape, looking over towards the left hand. You can use that right hand as well to keep that left knee on the ground. Just finding something that works for you. Breathing here. Sinking into the twist. Just noticing if you're holding tension anywhere. Backing off if you need. And then we're going to exhale that left hand back over on top of that right hand. Inhaling that left hand out again into that T shape or as far as you like. And exhaling it back on top of the other one. And then we're just going to come back to center, back onto our backs. And just swapping legs now. So our right knee is going to come in. Our left leg is going to stay bent for now. Rocking side to side with that right knee. And stretching that left leg out long on the mat. And doing circles with that right knee, so either clasping or letting it move on its own. Making circles one way and the other. And then using that left hand to guide that right knee all the way over onto the ground. So starting out, coming over onto our side, left hand is out straight this time. Right hand is coming up and over on top. Breathing here. And then inhaling, opening up the hands, bringing that right hand as far as feels good, either onto the hip or behind you, and starting to come out into that twist as you come more onto your back. Both shoulders are on the ground, but that right knee is staying on the ground as well. Looking over towards that right hand. Breathing here. Inhaling, exhaling that right hand back up onto the left. Inhaling that right hand back out, so opening up the hands. Exhaling, closing the hands. And then coming back, rolling back onto our back. Breathing here. Coming into our windscreen wipe of motions. So feet are about hip width apart, rocking the knees from left to right. And inhaling, coming up, coming into our bridge pose now. So I'll show the unsupported version first. So we've got our knees about hip width apart there. Our feet are about hip width apart as well, so our knees are stacked over our feet. Our feet are just out of reach of our hands, so they're not too far away from the body or too close. And then we're going to tilt that pelvis so that our back is flat on the mat. And then we're going to inhale, bring our hips all the way up, so creating that straight line all the way from the knees to the shoulders. So pushing the hips up as far as they'll come. Breathing here. So if that's feeling okay, breathing here for a couple more and then coming down. If that's feeling too much, you can come down and I'll show the supported version. So if we'll exhale down, making sure that hip's tucked so that when our back lands on the ground again, it's nice and flat and supported. If you'd like to take the supported version, we do the same thing, tuck our hips up, and then we place our prop underneath our hips on our sacrum. And then we're in the same position, but we've got that support there, so we're using less strength. So just get into that position. If you'd like the supported version, if you're doing unsupported, you can bring yourself up, breathing here for 5 breaths and then coming back down again. So if you're in the unsupported, sort of having a little squeeze between the knees so that the knees aren't coming out to the side. Imagine you're squeezing a block or something in between the knees, keeping them about hip width apart. Breathing here and exhaling, coming down when you're ready. You can take some little windscreen wiper motions in between. If you're supported, just staying there on your block for the whole duration. We're just going to do one more of these. Inhaling, tilting the pelvis, coming up, last one. On your fifth breath, just exhaling down, coming all the way down. Exhaling out. If you had that prop underneath, just pushing your hips up, removing the prop and coming down as well. We're just going to move into our happy baby now. So bringing the knees in towards the chest and then bringing them out to the side. So they're sort of underneath our armpits. Reaching for the outsides of the feet if you like this position, staying here. If that's feeling a bit much, you can grab anywhere along the legs, ankles, shins, or just wrapping the hands behind the knees. Trying to keep the feet about parallel with the ceiling. You can rock side to side if that feels good. So we're getting that sensation, that stretch in the inner thighs, but it shouldn't feel too much like you can't stay here comfortably. So if it is, just backing off, coming into any of the other options that feel good for you. Making sure you can breathe here as well. It's not restricted in any way. Keep our breaths natural and not strained throughout our yoga practice. Just a few more breaths here in happy baby. Maybe closing down the eyes if that feels good. And when we're ready, just exhaling out of our happy baby. Feet are coming down to the floor. We're coming into our lying butterfly pose now. So our knees are going to come out towards the side and our soles of the feet are going to come together. So remembering if our heels are close to our body, we're probably going to get more sensation. So you can bring the feet away from the body into more of a diamond pose. That should lessen the sensation in the inner thighs. You can also prop underneath the knees. So you can have one knee leaning up against a wall and then a pillow or something under the other leg if you like. We'll just be here for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. So making sure it's not too unbearable. And the thing with the more yin postures that we hold for longer is that the stretch sort of softens over time. So it might feel a bit more intense at the start. And then as we go, we notice it sort of softening and we notice the sensation less and less. Or you might sort of start halfway with not too much sensation, and then as that lessens, you can increase, come into the pose more. If you like, for the last half, you can also bring the hands up over the head, resting them down, if that's comfortable for you. Just breathing through the sensation. It's a pretty strong one. Just a couple more breaths. And taking our final inhale, bring our hands underneath our knees and just guiding them together again. And then we're going to make our way up to seated. So you can just come onto your side, or if you want a bit more of a dynamic way, you can rock backwards and forwards on your back, making your way all the way up. Oops. Good. Just coming into some seated neck rolls now. So if you like that rolled up towel under your hips, that can help with tilting your pelvis forward. Forgot to mention that one, but that's another useful prop. Otherwise, just finding a comfortable seated position, and we'll just drop our chin to chest. And then our right ear, right shoulder. Chin to chest, left ear, left shoulder. Remembering to breathe as we go. It's going one side and then the other, slowly at first, making sure it feels okay for the neck. And then if it feels okay, you can come into a 360, rolling your neck all the way around, seeing how that feels. Going one way and then the other. Breathing as we go. And then inhaling, coming up. So we'll inhale, the hands up above the head, looking up. Exhaling back down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. One more. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. And inhaling, the hands up and grabbing the opposite wrist this time. I'm using my right hand to grab my left wrist. Then I'm going to pull towards the right. So I'm getting a stretch down the left side. Breathing here. Inhaling, coming to the other side. Swapping hands. Inhaling, coming up, maybe looking to the hands. Exhaling down. So we're going to place our right hand on the mat on our right side. So you might want to come all the way down onto your forearm or stay up onto your hand, your choice. Inhaling that left hand up and over. So we're doing something a bit different with our left hand this time. We're going to grab the back of the head so that our elbow bends. We're going to look up towards the elbow, towards the sky. Then we're going to exhale, pointing the elbow towards the ground, looking down. Inhaling up, looking up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Awesome work. Letting go. Bringing the left hand down towards the mat. Inhaling the right hand up. Grabbing the back of the head. Same thing on this side. Looking up towards the elbow. Exhaling, looking down and feeling the stretch. I'm feeling it on the back of my back actually as well. In that stretch. One more. Exhaling down. Inhaling back out. And we're just going to come into our caterpillar pose now. So stretching the legs out long. Coming into a forward fold now. So if you've got that rolled up towel that you like under the hips, go ahead. Otherwise, coming into our forward fold. Inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, folding, rounding the spine, walking the hands down, coming as far as feels good. Dropping the head down, reducing the strain on the neck. Breathing here. Breathing here. About halfway, so just noticing if you want to back off or take it further. Totally up to you. Just a few more breaths. And then inhaling, coming up. We're just bending our right knee, coming into that seated tree pose. So our right sole of the foot's going to push to our left inner thigh. And then walking our hands forward. So I'm going to bring my right hand over my left leg. So you can bring it as far as you like. I'm going to come more towards my ankle. And then I'm sort of twisting my body, doing a little spinal twist here. My left hand is going to reach out towards the left. Inhaling and then exhaling, twisting, looking over towards my left hand. It's coming down until I feel that stretch on my lower back. I'm feeling that spinal twist. Breathing here. And exhaling, coming all the way back up. And swapping legs. Inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, coming forward. So left hand is coming over onto the right side of my right leg. Right hand is coming out, sort of at like a 90-degree angle, I suppose. Inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, twisting, looking over towards my right side this time. And inhaling, coming back up. And we're going to move into our tabletop position. So coming over onto our hands and knees. Breathing here. So knees underneath our hips, hands underneath our shoulders. If that's feeling a bit too much on the wrists, you can move the wrists forward a little bit. Should feel a little bit less pressure on the wrists. And we're just moving our hips side to side to start with. And then we're going to start to create circles. So we're going to bring our hips forward and round to the side and then back towards our legs. So just going as big as you can with the circles, probably get some cracks and some pops and sounds as we go. Just making sure it feels good. Kind of doing a little bit of a cat-cow movement, but in a circular motion. So I'm rounding my back as I go back and straightening it as I go forward, sort of arching it a little bit. Breathing as we go, going one way and then the other. So just keep going until you feel even on both sides. And then we'll make our way back to a neutral position. We're just going to do some like really slow and controlled cat-cows. So we usually start to get a bit of autopilot with our cat-cows and we just go fairly fast and not really noticing what we're doing anymore. So we're really going to think about our belly button here, dropping it down towards the ground, arching our back, looking down, exhaling, inhaling, looking up, and then drawing our belly button up. Did I do that right? Inhaling, yes. Inhaling, rounding the shoulders, rounding the back, drawing the belly button in. Exhaling, dropping the belly down, looking up. I think I got the belly and the breath right that time. Inhaling, looking up, belly drops down. Exhaling, looking down, belly draws up. Just keep going in your own time. Really noticing the movements, noticing how the back feels. And coming back into those circles just briefly. Really swinging the hips around. Just do a couple on each side. And then we're going to push up into a downward dog. So tucking the toes underneath, pushing the hips up towards the sky, straightening the back, pushing the shoulders away from the hands, dropping the head down, looking back through the legs, pedaling out the feet, feeling that stretch in the backs of the legs. Breathing here, really noticing the movement, noticing how it's making your body feel. Pushing through the hands. Inhaling, looking forward, just walking the feet forward or stepping forward to the top of our mat, coming to a forward fold. So exhaling down, dropping the hands or maybe grabbing the opposite elbows. Shifting side to side here. Feeling that movement, maybe feeling it down the backs of the legs, maybe the lower back and the hips. Dropping the head down. And just slowly start to come up. We won't be coming all the way up, but just noticing how that rocking changes and how it feels on the lower back as you change the height. And then rocking down again. So I sort of just came up halfway and then back down. Dropping the hands down now, bending the knees as much as you need. So I've got my left hand planted down on the ground. I'm coming into a spinal twist. This is optional. Inhaling the right hand up, looking up. Breathing here. Exhaling the right hand down, inhaling the left hand up. Exhaling down, rocking side to side. And we're going to come back into a downward dog. So walking the feet back again. Dropping the head down. Pedaling out the feet as you need, taking as much movement as you like or staying still. And then dropping back onto the knees. Nice little warm up there. Exhaling down into our child's pose, taking rest for a moment. Breathing here in our child's pose. We're going to come into our kneeling sun salutes next. Taking a couple more breaths in our child's pose. Inhaling, coming all the way up. So coming up onto the knees. Inhaling the hands up. Grabbing the opposite elbows, opposite wrist again here. And just making that side to side movement. So coming over to the right side. I'm grabbing my I'm using my right hand to grab my left wrist. And then swapping sides, swapping wrists. Inhaling the hands up, looking up. Exhaling the hands to the lower back. So fingertips might be facing down. Sorry, what did I do? Okay. And then hands to the lower back, pushing the hips forward if you like. Looking up. Don't have to have the back bend. If you don't like, you can just hold your hands to your lower back. Breathing here, exhaling, coming down into our tabletop position, and then bringing either the knees back or the hands forward, coming into our kneeling plank. So hips draw forward, back is straight. Breathing here, inhaling, exhaling, lowering down onto our belly. Inhaling, the hands forward, coming onto our forearms here in our baby cobra. Breathing here. Exhaling, pushing back to our tabletop, sliding our hands forward into our puppy pose so our hips stay high, our chest comes down. Breathing here. Inhaling back through our tabletop and down into our child's pose. Breathing there. Round one done. Let's do a couple more. Inhaling up into the knees, inhaling hands above the head, coming into that side motion, grabbing the opposite wrist and other side. Inhaling, hands up, exhaling into our lower back. Knees are about hip width apart, pushing the hips forward, maybe looking up. Exhaling, coming down, coming to our kneeling plank. Breathing here. Exhaling down. Inhaling forward into our baby cobra. If you want a bit more of a back bend, you can push into the hands. Coming into either pose, inhaling, exhaling down, pushing away with the hands, coming back through our tabletop. Sliding our hands forward into our puppy pose, chest down, hips up. Breathing here. Inhaling back through our tabletop, exhaling down to our child's pose. Breathing here, a couple breaths. And inhaling up, last flow, coming up onto our knees. Inhaling, the hands up, grabbing that opposite wrist into one side, and then the other, swapping wrists. Inhaling, hands up, looking up. Exhaling down, hands to our lower back, pushing the hips forward if you like. Exhaling down through our tabletop, coming to our kneeling plank. Breathing here. Exhaling down. Inhaling to our baby cobra, or pushing the hands up to seal. Inhaling, exhaling down. Pushing the hands away through our tabletop, sliding our hands forward into our puppy. Breathing here. Inhaling, coming back through to our child's pose and coming down. Inhale, coming back up, coming into our thread the needle pose next. So we sort of start in that puppy pose, bringing one hand forward, inhaling the right hand up, looking up, exhaling, threading it through underneath the left hand, reaching all the way through so we're on the flat part of our right shoulder, our scapula. And then we can keep that left hand planted down there in our usual thread the needle. And if you want a challenge, you can bring that left hand palm facing down onto the lower back. That'll give more sensation through that shoulder and test your balance a little bit. It's totally optional. You can also tuck your toes under for more stability. Breathing here. Just a few more breaths. Final breath in, exhaling, unraveling, inhaling that right hand up towards the sky and placing it back down. Swapping hands so our left hand comes up towards the sky and threads through underneath our right hand, reaching it all the way through that part of the shoulder. Breathing here. And if you like, you can bring the right hand into the lower back if you want a challenge. Breathing here wherever you are. And on our next inhale, bringing that left hand up towards the sky and placing it back down onto the mat. So coming into our kneeling pose, I'm going to come in the middle of my mat so I have room on each side. Coming into our gate pose now. So we're going to stretch our right leg out long and our left hand is going to come to the left side of our mat. And then we're going to push our hips forward using our right hand and come onto our right hip, pushing our hips forward. And then if you'd like, you can inhale that right hand up and over and looking back to that right hand. Breathing here. Inhaling, exhaling down. Swapping sides now. So I'm going to have both hands planted down when I swap my legs. Left foot is coming out, it's planted on the mat, walking around, my hands to the right side, pushing my hips forward and inhaling that left hand up and over. Come into as much of a back bend as you like. And exhaling back down. Awesome work. Just going to sit back onto our bottoms now and come into our twisted deer pose. So I've got both my soles of the feet pointing to the right. My left sole of the foot is pushing into my right inner thigh. And both my legs are making sort of like an L shape. So my left leg is going to be pointing out straight, the knees straight in front of me, and I'm going to twist around to my left. Inhaling. Yep, so twisting over your left leg, I suppose. Inhaling and exhaling. You can stay on the hands or you can walk forwards onto your forearms, whatever suits you. Breathing here. Nice. Getting another spinal twist. Breathing wherever you are. Just a few more deep breaths. And inhaling, starting to make your way back up. Bring around to face forward and then just swapping legs. So soles of the feet are going to point to the left. My right sole of the foot's pushing into that left upper thigh. And then I'm twisting around to my right, over that right leg. Just making your way down. Same thing on this side. Breathing here. Just a couple more breaths. On the next inhale, just walking your way up, unraveling. And we're going to make our way onto our backs. Just a couple of poses to go. So we're going to come into our happy baby. Bring the knees into the chest and out wide. Same thing we did at the start. Just noticing if it feels different at all now at the end of class. Breathing here. Slowing down. Maybe closing down the eyes if it feels okay. And if you want a little bit of a challenge, you can straighten out one leg and then straighten out the other. Just breathing in a happy baby for the last couple breaths here. And then exhaling the feet back down onto the mat. Coming into our figure 4 pose. So our right ankle is going to come on top of our left knee. I'm going to use our hand, make sure that knee pushing away from the body and not dropping in towards the chest. So staying like this or grasping behind that left knee, bring it in towards the chest a little bit. If that feels okay, you can grab in front of the left knee, even more of a stretch. You'd feel that on your right hip. Just coming as far as feels good. Breathing here. And then we're going to slide our right foot across so that our knees come stacked one on top of the other. And then we're going to bring both knees down over towards the left. So we're coming into a different version of a spinal twist. So you can either have both knees like that. You might even want to tuck that right foot underneath the left calf. If it'll twist around, it's optional. And then we're going to straighten out that left hand, bringing that right hand on top of it. Same thing we did at the start. So inhaling the right hand, opening the hands, coming as far as feels good. So maybe into that T shape or maybe somewhere in between. So this is going deeper again with the spinal twist, so you might feel it a little more when you open all the way out, just finding what works for you. Breathing here. Inhaling and exhaling, closing the hands again, coming over towards the left side, and then just starting to unravel the legs, making our way onto our backs. Breathing here. Coming into some windscreen wiper motions before we come into the other side. And then we'll do our figure 4 on our other side. So left ankle on top of right knee, taking whichever variation suited you on the other side. So I'm going to clasp my hands behind my right knee. Breathing here in our figure 4, making sure our head and neck are feeling supported by the mat. Maybe closing down the eyes if that feels good. Just a couple more breaths in our figure 4. And then letting go of that clasp, sliding that left leg over so our knees are stacked on top of each other, and then dropping our knees over towards the right this time. Starting on our right side, so our hands are stacked one on top of the other. And then inhaling that left hand out as far as you want to come, maybe into that T shape, if that feels okay for the back and the neck. Breathing here on your variation. And on the next exhale, just bringing that left hand back over on top of the right, and then unraveling the legs, coming onto our backs. Breathing here. Just going to come into our bridge pose to finish. So grabbing that support if you had it at the start, or moving into our unsupported version. So tilting the hips, getting the feet about hip width apart, and then bringing the hips up. You can sort of walk your shoulders underneath as well and help. Breathing here and exhaling back down. 2 more, inhaling up. I won't hold as long now. And exhaling back down. And inhaling back up, last one. And exhaling back down. Removing that prop if you took the supported version. And we're just going to come to our legs up the wall pose. So if you have a wall nearby or a chair that you can rest your legs on, a couch or something, and coming towards that, just shuffling up to your side of the wall, right up near the wall, and then just bringing the feet up. We might want to play around with how far away the hips are to the wall. And if you don't have anything like that nearby, but you've got your prop, you can also do a similar thing to the bridge pose. Prop under your lower back and then bringing your legs up. Pippi. It's Pippi's tippy tappies. So finding whichever version works for you. It's that last pose before rest. I'm just demonstrating the support pose if you wanted to take that one, unsure what you're doing. Like, you don't want to be in the frame. Here we go. Come over here. I'll be here for a couple of minutes, so making sure you're comfortable, settling down, maybe closing down the eyes. Taking nice deep breaths in and out if you like. Connecting in with the breath and the bodily sensations again. Noticing how you're feeling. Another minute or so here. Maybe you like to have your hands on your belly. You can feel the belly rise and fall with the breath. Nothing left to do. So this is a good pose to do if you can't sleep at night as well. This is activating our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest. So on our next exhale, we're just going to slowly move out of this pose and into our rest pose on our mat. So just moving nice and slowly, maybe even keeping your eyes closed, keeping in this restful state. Making sure you're nice and warm and comfortable, maybe something underneath your knees and your head. We'll be here for a few minutes, so making sure you're comfortable. Seeing if you can soften anywhere in the body. Seeing if you can become heavier on your mat. Making sure your head and neck and shoulders feel supported by the mat. Making sure your back and your hips Your buttocks and the backs of the legs all feel supported by the mat. Softening down on the exhale. Noticing if you feel tension anywhere in the body. Maybe your jaw or your pelvis. Anywhere else. Seeing if you can soften on the exhale. Slowly starting to deepen the breath. Gently starting to get some movement in the fingers and the toes. Maybe starting to roll the wrists and the ankles. Inhaling the hands up above the head for full body stretch. Exhale, sighing out the mouth. When you're ready, just rolling onto your preferred side, staying there for a couple of breaths. And as you're here on your side, just thinking of something you're grateful for today. And when you're ready, just making yourself back up into a comfortable seated position. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you again next time.